Welcome to SPCSN Sportscast. I'm your host, Corey Mack. We have a lot to cover today in our show, talking about MLB spring training, the NHL, as well as March Madness. But before all that great stuff, let's talk about the SBC Men's Titans baseball team. I had a great opportunity to sit down with Coach Ryan Beckman, the leader of the squad. Let's listen to what he has to say. How long have you been involved with SBC itself? How did you get your chance to start here for the college?
I was coaching at Calvary Christian High School, and in 2010 I was asked to come on and be the assistant coach and recruiting coordinator. And shortly after that I became the head coach in January 2012, and I haven't looked back.
So Coach, can you tell us a little bit about your current Titan squad?
Our team dynamic this year is unique. We have a lot of sophomore leadership as far as position players are concerned, in guys like Alex Hansen, our center fielder, Bubba Hollins, our third baseman, and our catcher, Scott Manea. And then we have a lot of freshmen on the mound. Guys like Kevin King, Dominic Stefanacci, and Chris Jordan, along with Kip DeShields, are really carrying our pitching staff into the conference play. Very happy with our boys this year. They've done a great job. We've been competing against some of the best teams, not just in the state, but in the country. And we've put ourselves in a good position to make a playoff run here in April, as long as we continue to play good baseball.
On behalf of SPCSN Sportscast, we'd like to thank Coach Ryan Beckman again for taking the time to meet with us yesterday. And as well as the rest of his Titan squad, they ended up beating Florida Southwestern College last night, 13-3, adding another W to their 2-game winning streak. Now let's take it over to Chris Valentine for Major League Baseball and NHL.
Thank you, Corey. Let's start off with the MLB. Spring training is nearing its end. Let's see how these teams are doing. Out west in Arizona, the Cactus League, the Arizona Diamondbacks are in first place, but their division rivals, the Los Angeles Dodgers, are right behind them in second. Now, if you remember, the highest sought-after free agent this past offseason was Zach Greinke, the former Dodger pitcher. He ended up signing with Arizona. Let's see how that plays out. In the Grapefruit League, the Washington Nationals and the Toronto Blue Jays are tied for first with identical 12-4 records. If you remember last year, the Washington Nationals were supposed to win the World Series. They were the favorites, but they failed to even make the playoffs. They fired their manager, Matt Williams, and now they hired Dusty Baker. He's going to try to get them back in the hunt for the World Series. Now it's time for my way too early World Series prediction. You heard it here first. It's going to be the Chicago Cubs up against the Houston Astros. Good, young teams, great core. They're going to be great for the next few years. But after 108 years of no title in Chicago, the Cubs are finally going to win one. For the first time since 1908, the Cubbies are going to win. They're going to pull it off. You heard it here first. Now let's move on to hockey. In the Eastern Conference, the Washington Capitals are running away with the number one seed with a 51-15-5 record and 107 points. It's kind of ridiculous. My team to look out for, I'm not trying to be a homer over here, Tampa Bay Lightning. They've looked great in the past few weeks. They're finally healthy. They're playing great hockey. I think they're going to have a very strong end of the season. And finally, for the wild card, don't count out the Philadelphia Flyers. They're only 3 points back from Detroit, and they've looked great too. Out west, a much closer race for that number one overall seed. The Dallas Stars, the St. Louis Blues, and Los Angeles Kings are all within 2 points of each other. And it seems to only be a 3-team race for the final 2 wildcard spots. The Nashville Predators, the Colorado Avalanche, and the Minnesota Wild are all neck and neck on the home stretch of the season. That's all for me. Back to you, Corey.
Okay, thank you, Chris. All right, joining us now for our last segment here, we have Marshall Watrous, our basketball analyst, talking about Marshall Madness and the Sweet 16 predictions.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me, Corey. Here we got our Sweet 16 lineup. It's been a pretty crazy March so far. That's why they call it March Madness, baby. Let's get it started. I got Jayhawks beating Maryland. Melo Trimble, Diamond Stone, 2 talented young men, but I don't think they're going to beat the Jayhawks. Next, I have Villanova, Chris Jenkins, and Phil Booth. That's a deadly combination. I don't think Miami stands a chance, especially with Coach Jay Wright. Next, we have Duke. I don't think anyone's more deadly than Duke in the tournament, man. They've been there, they've done that. You know, they're a very talented team. Next, we have Buddy Hield. I think the Sooners are going to beat A&M. On this side of the bracket, I got the Tar Heels beating Indiana. The Hoosiers had a good upset last game, but I don't think they stand a chance against a talented North Carolina team. Again, they've been there, they've done that. Next up, we got Wisconsin. I think they're going to beat Notre Dame. I'm going to go 1 or 2 overtimes, but I think Wisconsin's going to pull out the win. I think our only upset of the Sweet 16, I think I'm going to go the Cyclones over UVA. Iowa State, they've been a deadly team this year. They've knocked off some high competition teams, so it's going to be a good one for sure. And then finally, I got Syracuse beating Gonzaga in triple or quadruple overtime. So it's going to be a good one. For my final game, I think it's going to be a Kansas Jayhawks against the North Carolina Tar Heels. Jayhawks are a very experienced team. They've got some old guys on their team against the Tar Heels. It's going to be a good one, but I think Kansas is going to pull out the victory and win it all. It's been a crazy March so far.
Very good, Marshall. Thank you. I can tell you my bracket is definitely garbage thanks to Michigan State.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
well,
everyone else's.
yeah, I know, right?
Yes.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today, but thank you again for joining us on SPCSN Sportscast.